All right. Back on the Wake Well podcast here with Renee Rubira, and I'm Dr. Henry Q. Good morning. Happy Saturday, everybody. Today we're going to be talking about how to get better sleep again, but a different twist on it. We're going to be talking a little bit about the different things that make you feel better when you go to sleep. If you can feel good right before you go to bed, or you can feel good during the day, you're going to have more of the feel goods that you can bring into your sleep. You're a lot more likely to have better dreams and be able to relax a little bit better. Today, we're talking a little bit about how the mind affects the body, how we can cool down, how we can make our body feel happy throughout the day. And Renee here is bringing us an incredible topic about gratitude, an incredible word that I didn't really learn too much about. I was born in a family that we spoke Chinese, and we like to give. We give a lot in actions, but not so much in thoughts. So we gave everything away in my family. In fact, one time we ended up giving away our microwave, and we didn't have a microwave to cook food for about half a year to a year. And yeah, we didn't really think about the gratitude in it. It was a lot of giving things away. So as I started learning more about gratitude, I started realizing that it is an essential part of how we act, and it's also an essential part of how we give ourselves love. So Renee, what do you talk about? I know you're on social media. You're on TikTok. Before you begin, what's your TikTok tag again, so everybody can follow you?
Hey, Dr. Q. Yes, it's sleep plant flow. So you'll just look up sleep plant flow and you'll find my TikTok. A lot of videos on sleep health. Mainly that's what the all the topics are mainly about, associated with sleep health and taking the steps to optimize your routines. And this is even before you actually see a physician. It's just your daily habits, because when you actually go see your physician, they're going to ask you what your routines are. What's the situation and why are you here? And when you get there, you're going to realize I don't even have a routine. So I do try to help people to establish that so they can start taking little steps towards a better position when it comes to getting deep sleep, because you really can optimize a lot of things to achieve that goal. But most of the time, people aren't really thinking about that because we're just so used to doing things in a different way. We're not really optimizing our sleep. It's just something that we do every single night. It's always going to happen. So we tend to take it for granted a little bit.
Yeah, it's something that happens every single night, regardless. And we always start with amazing sleep. When we are born, we get incredible sleep. I can't even remember how good sleep is when I was a baby. All I remember is that I'd be knocked out, and the next day I'd have enough energy to play. And so the funny thing about sleep is that it's like you start taking it for granted after a while. When you're young, you get incredible sleep. Most people get incredible sleep. There are some young kids out there that I help, and they have terrible sleep, and that's such a sad part of their life. But most of us get incredible sleep, and we forget about how healing it is until it's gone.
Yeah, you really don't realize it until you're waking up all the time at night. You're not sure why, and you're really tired during the day. And people will not even really connect with that. It's kind of seen as a part of the process. I'm doing this, so I'm exhausted. But the same way that we try to optimize other things in our lives that aren't ourselves, we could actually do that. With our sleep routines, with our habits in the daytime, because people don't realize that what you're doing in the daytime is going to have a big effect on your nighttime, and mainly as you're just trying to wind down and get to sleep. So you tend to not worry about nighttime until it comes, and then you struggle to get to sleep. And when you struggle to get to sleep, you do things like, let me get on my phone. Maybe this will help me get to sleep. And you're just kind of scrolling. And it's actually not helping you. You know, that blue light's not good for us. You know, it interferes with our melatonin. So you're not helping yourself. You think you are. You know, some people will eat. They'll eat. You know, this will help me get sleepy. You don't even think about it. You just, you know, you snack, and that's not helping you because now there's, you know, a process happening in your body that's starting to work. And when we are trying to get to sleep, it should really be a period where there's a wind down routine. And this is something that I talk a lot about on my platform, is trying to set up a wind down routine. And just how that sounds, we're winding down for the night. And there's a reason why we're winding down. It's for yourself. It's your own personal space to wind down, settle the body down, you know, dump all of the thoughts from the day, because now you're getting ready for the sleep process, which if you're able to set yourself up right, you can have a higher chance to achieve deep restorative sleep. And beyond the environment, there is a lot that could be affecting, you know, getting good sleep or getting bad sleep. But if we aren't even optimizing our bedroom to get good sleep, it's a big problem, because the bedroom tends to be a little chaotic sometimes. It's like a work area. It's not being used for sleep and intimacy. You know, it should be like really the only things you're using the bedroom for, if possible. And that's just something that's routine as well. So when you get into that space, your body and your mind knows, this is my time to shut it down, and your body starts to recognize that. But if you're not doing this regularly, you're not getting into that positive routine that turns into a positive habit, and then it becomes a different way of being. And then you start to really get to a different level of sleep optimization, because you're embodying what your goals are and what your hopes are, and you're actually recognizing that, well, this is my time. This is my time to actually reboot, get ready for the day. It's like a superpower if you can get really good deep sleep. So it takes a lot of effort, and that's why I try to put this information out there so people at least can hear the message and then start to take small little steps towards change, positive change. But it's not easy, because then you got to sustain it. Just like any practice that you do, whatever that may be, you're going to have to keep practicing it, and then it just becomes totally natural. It just becomes comfortable. Maybe like, for example, driving. You know, when we got that license when we were teenagers, it's crazy. They're giving you this license, now you're driving, and you're on the road alone, and it's not that great yet. You just barely started. But now, you know, fast forward years later, you could pretty much drive some roads with your eyes closed. You're so used to going. It's like becomes something that's just naturally ingrained in us. And it just seems like, well, I've been doing this forever. I'm a pro. So you want to get to that place when it comes to your habits in general, positive habits, and specifically a sleep routine. So it's a major challenge, you know, for everybody. And even more challenging is when you have a family, there's other people living with you, because now you're trying to start your sleep routine, but maybe everyone else is not on the same page. So it does take a lot of effort for that message to be relayed to everybody. But if you start being an example, you could really change your whole dynamic. And then in the daytime, when we want to do all the things we want to do, and, you know, excel, you know, be sharp, our job, our hobbies, our family, we're, you know, we have this extra energy that can help you achieve that. And then when the nighttime comes, now it's your time to wind it down and reboot. So it's a really special time when we get to sleep. It's your special time for your reboot. And most of the time, we're not really seeing that as special. We're just it's just part of the process. We shut off and then we wake up and grind away. But you can really optimize and change your life essentially.
It's sleep is such a, you're right. It's like this, you have this opportunity to drive a car, but a lot of you out there, you have this incredible car that was given to you by God, our body. It's an incredibly adaptive thing. Heals through all kinds of stuff. You hear miracles happen to people. Like people have cancer, stage 4, and without any chemotherapy, without any radiation, they're able to heal it and get rid of it. It's like, wow, like how is this large lump in your body disappearing just because you're taking care of yourself better? And it just speaks to volumes of how powerful our body is. There's miracles that can happen, but how do we get those miracles to happen, right? So, well, I don't know. I'm not a miracle worker, but I certainly can tell you that there are some cases where it makes sense why certain things happen. I think that most things are consistently doable. Like I think that there are miracles because we don't understand how the miracle happened. But if we start to dissect it and we start to see a pattern in how these things happened, how miracles happen, then they start to become real. So then they become things that we can actually treat. And that maybe it's not a miracle anymore. Maybe we just didn't understand how to resolve the problem before. And so a lot of this is education about understanding how our body works. And one really interesting thing we saw these last couple of weeks, I've been treating a patient who we treated his sleep apnea, his breathing condition, resolved, but he still couldn't sleep. I've been seeing this guy for about 1.5 years, and I've been following along his process. I've been trying a lot of different things. And this guy's, he's like you, jiu-jitsu guy, and he practices, and he's really like, he's a little bit stressed out a lot, and he's got a lot going on in life, and no matter what we did, we optimized his sleep, we optimized his bedroom, we optimized his habits. He like tries to do everything that I told him to do, but he still wasn't really getting there. He wasn't getting sleep. He wasn't able to fall asleep. And then he was waking up in the middle of the night. There was one consistent thing that kept on happening. And he kept on saying that he keeps on thinking a lot. His mind races a lot before bed. And I know a lot of you out there have this problem. I used to have this problem too. And it's a hard thing to change that. It's like you can't fight the thoughts and you can't tell it to stop because they just bubble up. And the thoughts just keep on coming up. Kind of like if you get frustrated in bed or you have a heartache, like, something happened, it was hard on you, sad, frustrating, anger. Those thoughts keep bubbling up. You can't stop them. It's really, really hard unless you're very, very practiced. And it's very easy to get frustrated because then you start thinking your brain is broken. You think you're a psychopath. You have thoughts about killing somebody or something. You're jumping off the roof. You're like, what is wrong with me? Why am I having these thoughts? And these things can happen to so many people. I when I was about 17 or 18, I had suicide ideation. I was in a hard spot. It was antisocial. Not many people liked me. I thought I was just kind of broken. I was just wired in a different way. I felt like my parents didn't love me, and I blamed it all on the world. And I had thoughts like, oh man, I don't know how I'm going to make it through this life. Like, I'm so screwed up. I look at other kids and I start comparing myself. And I'm like, well, those kids are so much better than me. They're cool. And I'm not. They've got girlfriends. I don't. They seem to have a lot of friends around them. They laugh a lot. I don't. I'm sad. I was that nerdy kid. So it's easy to beat yourself up when you're that person. And when you have those thoughts bubbling up, it is really hard to think that you're going to ever be normal again. But for those of you out there that this is happening to, I guarantee you it is a phase of your life. And if you listen to your thoughts, there's a way to see things differently. There's a fundamental shift in the way you think about yourself and the things that you're doing for yourself that might need to change. For many of you out there, maybe consider that if you continue to have those thoughts in your head, maybe you're actually believing in those thoughts, and maybe you actually are inherently wanting to listen to those thoughts in some way. Meaning you actually get a kick out of hearing the thoughts that are not so good for you. Like I remember when I was a kid, I'd hear those thoughts of like, oh, you're not good enough, and you're never going to be enough. And for a very long time, into my 20s, I kept on hearing those thoughts, and I kept on not knowing what to do with them. I don't know how to shut them off. And then one day I had a session with a mentor of mine, and he told me, hey, maybe consider that you're actually manifesting those thoughts. Like you actually want those thoughts to come up. And I'm like, what do you mean? No, like those things come up regardless of what I do. Like they just keep on coming up. And then I started considering, okay, maybe what if I just try it on, like he said, maybe try on the idea that you're responsible for creating those thoughts. And I'm like, all right, I'll try it on. And so I do this exercise where I'm like, okay, I'm going to try it on like I'm trying on my clothes. Like I'm going to try on a suit. I'm going to try on something yellow. I'm going to try on something red. I don't know if I'm going to like it, but I'm going to try it on and look at myself in the mirror. And so I tried on this idea that, okay, maybe I am making those thoughts up. Maybe I want those thoughts. What if I did? Why would I want to have those thoughts? Why? Why would I want to have those thoughts? And it's taking responsibility for our thoughts. Guys, take responsibility for the shit in your head. Why do you want it? And for me, it was because I actually got some kind of like vengefulness. Like I got some kind of energy from it. I got to get through the next day with those thoughts because I'm like, fuck you. No, I'm not. I'm going to fight against those thoughts. Well, I'm a rebel. Some of you out there, you guys just kind of lay flat. You got to lay in bed when you hear those thoughts. But maybe the thoughts are giving you an excuse to lay flat, to not show up. Maybe the thoughts are actually made up. You make those thoughts up so that you have an excuse to lay in bed, or an excuse. For me, it was an excuse to not talk to anybody, an excuse to stay small, to be like, oh, the world hates me. I don't need to talk to them. Oh, my parents are not loving, so I'm not going to talk to them. It was an excuse to stay small. So what is the excuse that you're telling yourself? What are you trying to get out of those thoughts? Because maybe you're getting something out of it. There's some kind of reason why you're doing it, and it's keeping you small. Maybe you're beating yourself up. Maybe you think you deserve punishment somehow. Like some of you guys out there, you keep on having this thought in your head that you're not good enough, or you're broken, or like you need to try harder in life to deserve the things that you deserve, to deserve happiness. And you're literally a unhappy waiting to happen because you are telling yourself that you don't deserve happiness. And you believe it so much that you're going to invent thoughts in your head to further propagate, further make you feel like you deserve nothing. It's literally a fundamental shift in your thinking. Literally, if you stop thinking that and you instead start thinking, okay, I do deserve happiness, then naturally you're going to start thinking about the things that will make you happy. And you do this exercise for me. You literally, your brain cannot have two thoughts at the same time, because your brain is wired the same way your mouth is wired and your vocal cords are wired. You can't say two words at the same time. You can't say two sentences at the same time. You can't have two thoughts at the same time. You can only have one thought at the same time. And so if you have one thought that's bad and you have one thought that's good, if you say, I don't deserve it, you can't say at the same time that I do deserve it. If you say I'm unhappy, you can't say I'm happy. You literally can't do that, because it's the way that your language is written into your brain. Your brain matches the way you speak, and it matches the way your language works. And so if you start to believe that, okay, I do deserve happiness, then you train your brain to choose, okay, am I gonna, in this moment in time, am I gonna tell myself that I'm beat up and I'm not good enough and they're better than me? No. Train your brain to think otherwise. Think, okay, well, actually, comparison is the theft of joy. And I'm not going to compare myself, because I have my own life and they have theirs. Trust me, I've been through a lot of pain. And it is pain sometimes, and you might not see it out there. You might not see that your pain right now is also what gives you your glory. That your pain right now might be the story you tell for someone else who's in pain once you overcome it. See, I became a sleep doctor because I had sleep apnea my whole life and had sleep problems my whole life. I almost died. My dad crashed his car and we wrecked our family because of sleep apnea. Fell asleep at the wheel. And I had to live with that my entire life. And when I was a kid, I thought that was horrible. In fact, my family, we thought that that was a curse in the family. We thought that was like the generational curse. We called it my dad called it, we're peasants, we're farmers, and we're stupid like that. He called it like that. He thought it was a curse of our family. And for many years, I thought it was a curse too. But how does that idea serve you? It doesn't. And that idea got in my head and it got stuck there. And I kept on believing it because I wanted it to happen. I wanted to prove to him that, no, we're not farmers. We're not stupid. But as long as I had to prove, it meant that we were farmers. And that I had to have those ideas of, oh, I'm not good enough. I have to try harder. I have to work harder to prove that I'm not good enough. That I was not that farmer. But by proving that I'm not that farmer, it means that I am the farmer, because I got to try to do it. I got to be like, no, I'm not Henry. So I got to prove that I'm someone else for so long. So who are you trying to prove? What are you trying to prove you're not? Maybe you just deserve to just be happy. Maybe you deserve to be good enough. And from that place of deserving to be enough, what are the thoughts that you can create? Because when you create something new, when you create a new way of talking in your brain, you literally can't talk another way. Like you can't say another word that's on the opposite end. If you say you're happy, you can't say sad at the same time. So you have a lot of opportunity to be able to change the way you think by creating new habits, a new way of thinking, new way of sleeping. And it all starts up in here. And so for a lot of you out there, you got to really think about this a little bit more. How are you actually thinking deep down? Deep down, because our actions represent how we are feeling inside. If you don't think you belong, you don't think you deserve, you think you're not enough, your actions will show you how you believe in yourself. Actions show everything. And you must observe your actions to be able to be aware, okay, what are my actions telling me about how I believe in myself? And when you start to believe in yourself a little bit more, you start to see your actions change. Use your actions not as a reason why you're broken. Don't look at yourself and be like, well, I don't show up. Well, I don't sleep early. Well, I don't have a job. Well, I don't have a girlfriend. Well, I don't have this and that and that. Don't use your actions to determine who you are, because it is what is inside of you that determines your actions. It's not the other way around. It's not your actions that determine who you are. It is what's inside of you, your belief in yourself, that determines your actions. So use your actions as something you look at. You're like, well, that doesn't look good. That is not a good picture of myself. And if that's not a good picture of myself, then what is the artist doing? What is the artist thinking? Why am I painting myself this way? Think maybe change the way you paint, and maybe paint yourself a little bit differently, because you can. You have this life and this God-given amazing gift of your life that you can paint any way and anyhow you want here. It's your empty canvas if you give yourself the chance to be. So start over. And every single morning you wake up, you are a fresh canvas, because sleep gives you that canvas. I mean, it's hard if you don't sleep well. And that's why we're sleep doctors and we love sleep, because we want to give you a fresh canvas. We want to optimize your sleep so that you get to wake up with a fresh canvas. And you get to be completely different today. You get to decide to wake up differently, because you woke up another day. God gave you another day. You could have just slept in. But when you wake up, God gave you another day. And you can create your life again completely differently. Maybe today you say, hey, I'm done with being beat up. I'm done comparing myself. I'm going to own my life now. I'm going to be happy now.
That was powerful.
You feel the same way? You know, did you have a moment in your life where you kind of like you're spiraling and you felt like you were out of control, and you're like, you know what, I'm gonna take the reins here. You woke up one day and you're like, you know what, I'm gonna do something different.
Absolutely. I mean, the few moments. And yeah, what you just said, very powerful. Language really can create your reality too. And if, what you're hearing, what you're telling yourself, it really starts to affect, and create a new way of being essentially for you, and not a good way of being. So there's a lot of challenges, to kind of find that. And you do end up going through so much pain to kind of see the light. But encourage everybody to keep holding on. For me personally, yeah, there was a moment where I essentially hit rock bottom, and it was in my health. And I was at that point about 30, I think about 33. I was about 33 years old. Successful, had my own home already, and beautiful place, living in a beautiful place, but I was not taking care of myself. And I really wasn't really even focused on it. Actually, I was kind of lying to myself in a way. I wasn't telling myself that I was healthy, but I wasn't even thinking about it. I was consuming so much food and packing on the pounds. And I basically hit rock bottom when I think I was 1 pound away from 300 pounds. I was like 299. And it was honest shocked me, which is weird because you don't just wake up 299. But looking in the mirror one day and just kind of, it just really was kind of like rock bottom for me, where I was like, I can't like turn away from this now. And it was really eye opening. And something did shift where I was kind of in a desperation kind of mode where now I'm stuck in this body. I can't change this, overnight. This is now I put myself in this position, but I did see that. I wasn't confused now or lying to myself or just not even really paying attention to it. Now there was a light shined on the situation, and now I had to take action. So for me, that moment was really big because I'm grateful for it. I have gratitude for it because I was able to now shift. There was a big shift. There was like no going back now. I was going towards something. So that's
Before
how
we
I
go,
ended up.
before we go into the transformation, I want to just sit
Sure.
here in that pain a little bit more, because it's sometimes we forget how much pain it was and how hard it was to get out of that hole. And so like I've never been that big before, but imagine like were you starting to get a lot of fatigue, like I imagine you're like that's unhealthy.
Yeah. Yeah. So you know, another thing is like I wouldn't really notice it. I wasn't thinking about it. So if I was getting fatigue, I wasn't thinking about it. I've always been active, but essentially I was indulging in all areas. I was active. So me being active, me hiking, but still eating whatever I wanted, that kind of was telling myself like, I'm good. I do stuff.
Wow.
I'm active. I'm just a big guy. I'm eating a lot of great food, and this is what I do. I'm active, but I really wasn't analyzing the situation. I wasn't thinking about my health. I wasn't thinking about the consequences. Um, I was noticing, my clothes were definitely getting bigger. That was one thing that I was like, wow, now I'm really starting to wear bigger clothes. Like, and that right there was physical that you're holding. It's like, okay, now I'm wearing a 3X shirt. So when you start to see that and you really think about it, then I'm not going in a good direction. I should be going the other way. Am I going to wear a 4X shirt now? So when I got, to that point, it really was time to make some huge changes in my life. And I essentially went all in on this transformation um, for the next about 6 years.
There's a concept that you spoke about right there that my mentor told me about, and it's about this idea of an inevitable future. It's quite literally, once you start going that direction, sometimes you have to see that you're inevitably going to go 4x. You're going to inevitably go 5x because there's nothing stopping you. If you There's nothing stopping you. If your thoughts say I'm good and this is okay, I'm working my ass off and it's okay. I'm getting unhealthy and it's okay. It's okay is a very dangerous idea. But on the other side of it's okay, it's really painful. So a lot of people talk about how it's painful either way. It's painful to be it's okay because you're inevitably going downhill.
Mhm.
And it's And it's painful to say, I'm not okay. It's really painful to say, I'm not okay. But
Yeah,
one
definitely.
you live a long time. The other one, you're really
Yeah,
not okay.
yeah, yeah. We we love to be in suffering. We kind of grab onto suffering and continue the suffering, and then you anchor onto that suffering, and it just really, really becomes okay. It becomes okay in your mind, and you just really just swim in that ocean of suffering. And you just become, now you're a swimmer. You're like, well, it wasn't okay, but in this ocean, you know what? I'm actually good at it. I'm going to keep swimming in this ocean of suffering. And you float because it feels okay. Um, but it really is going to drown you at some point. And so it requires just radical change. It really does. But for me, I am, grateful that I kind of hit that wall. It literally changed, the next decade of my life. So, you know, once I figured out time to make a drastic change, um, I started to look into stuff. Like I remember I was so worried and trying to figure out what should I do. Should I go to the gym? Let me start the gym. I kind of wasn't too, and I was going to the gym periodically, but not anything that was routine. Again, there was no routine, there was no consistent behavior. It was very sporadic. So even that was helping me continue the suffering. I was like, hey, I do go to the gym. I go every once in a while and I'm walking and it's okay. But I really wasn't doing enough to make an actual change that was going to be lasting. I was just kind of wallowing again in the suffering, not really taking action for major change. So I wasn't really making progress as a person. I was just kind of existing, kind of. I wasn't going towards something that I was passionate about. Um, and that's really important. You definitely want to figure out what that is for yourself, and there's a lot to be passionate about depending on what it is that you're interested in. But I, decided, not the gym. Maybe I need something else because I knew if I go to the gym, and there's nothing wrong with the gym. Obviously, we need the gym. We should go to the gym. But for me, I knew it was going to be the same thing for me. I needed to be like shake up. I needed something really drastic to really like kick me into gear. So I thought about karate first, and I was actually really interested in doing karate. Always loved karate. It's just kind of like a part of our culture, in the United States when it comes to movies, right? So that's like where you connect with martial arts, different sports. But for me, it was definitely like, cool, karate, like that seems really cool. Um, but I started looking to other stuff. I thought about boxing. I thought maybe I should do boxing. I'll definitely lose some weight if I get into boxing. And I really considered going to a boxing gym and just starting, boxing
Boxing's fun.
at, 33.
Yeah.
Um, but, then I kind of thought like maybe I'm getting a little older. I don't want to get punched in the head too much. Like, I said, maybe that's not for me. But I started looking on YouTube, started to kind of, the algorithm led me to this essentially. But I ended up finding out about Brazilian Jiu Jitsu. And I really did a deep dive on it, a real deep dive on YouTube, and found out what it was all about, kind of like what the lineages were and what this all was. But to me, it just seemed a lot more accessible for me, for my body at that time. It was like I can grab somebody, figure out how to bring them down. I'm already heavy, maybe that'll help keep the weight on. And you look cool in a gi. So I'm like, I'm interested in this. So that was, where I, got very interested in that martial art. And the scariest moment was the moment that I picked up the phone. And that was a huge moment for me because I'm like, I'm actually doing this, I'm 33. I'm actually calling this academy. So I just picked the random academy closest to me.
What did that feel
and
like?
I called the academy.
Why was it scary?
It was, that was really interesting. And I think about that a lot. It was one of those moments that was a barrier for me. It was like, you can go back, or now we could like take a big leap forward, just a leap into the abyss, and we're going to see what happens. So I could have just not made the call. I was very scared because I think I was scared because it was like, you're making a decision and you're going forward. And I think, for a lot of people, that's a point where they might just go back or pivot, go to something a little bit more comfortable, something that makes them feel a little bit more cozy and okay and gives them a little bit, but not something that's going to just completely change your whole life. So for me, I think I was feeling that. I was feeling that that kind of feeling of the unknown. This martial arts, I never done martial arts before. I knew it was very physical. I'm like, well, this is legit. I'm going to get really physical. I'm not just going to be going through the motions. So the unknown of all of that was very, very scary to me. And so I called, and the person on the other end was very kind and made it super easy for me. Essentially just said, just come on down and, have you sign a waiver, and we'll get you on the mat and we'll go from there. And I was okay. They set me up with an appointment to show up. That was scary. Just so now the next step was, okay, now you committed, now you're going, and now I'm gonna see what this is all about. And so when I got there, yeah, the emotion inside of me was of kind of fear. I'll be honest with you, just of this unknown situation of what this was going to be. And but everybody very friendly. And I remember they sold me a gi. It was like a starter gi. It wasn't even a thick gi. It was just a very thin gi with the logo, and essentially so you could be on the mat and have something to wear. It was like $30 or something. And so I got that, and then I was heading towards the mat and taking off my shoes, which was, again, that was even odd because I'm taking off my shoes. I'm going onto a mat. No one has shoes on. And there was all these people that were they looked kind of intimidating just because of the situation. I didn't even know these people. And then seeing what they were doing was, kind of intimidating because I don't know anything. I don't know anything at this point. But everybody was super friendly and just started in the class, just started following what other people were doing, and started my journey that day. And since that very first day, I never stopped after that, and went from white belt all the way to black belt in 6 years. I did that. So I actually became extremely dedicated to this new way of being, and it just fed me positive energy every day. It completely shifted everything for me. Within a few months, I was already down, I'm going to say like 20-25 pounds. Like I was down. By the time I got my black belt, I had lost over 100 pounds. So I was at almost 300 pounds. I got my black belt. I was, I think, 198 or 200 pounds.
Of muscle.
So that was, I couldn't even fit. Yeah, it was definitely a different situation at that point. Going through that whole process was completely changed my life, and I don't go back to that now. Now I'm on a path. It's like a trajectory, just always forward. Um, just because, I got a lot of resilience and I got a lot of feedback from myself every day. And it really relates to a lot of the things that I talk about when it comes to sleep and being consistent, starting a routine, um, connecting with that routine. And that's what I did in martial arts is I really connected with the martial art and I just showed up every day, just kept showing up to the classes that I said I was going to show up to. And as you keep doing that, things start to change in the class. So, you were the newest person in the class, and then all of a sudden you're going up the ranks a little bit. You're not the newest person. And now other people are leaving. And now you're going up the ranks a little bit, and other people are learning from you. Um, and eventually you become a senior person in the class. And it's just like night and day when it comes to your abilities, your physical abilities. So the weight was just completely coming off. And some people that hadn't seen me because they go to the night class, and I was going in the morning class, 7 a.m. in the morning. Um, they were shocked. They hadn't seen me for months, and they would look at me like, and it's like, yeah, it's me. I did make some big changes. Like I went completely plant based. That was another thing that happened about 3 years in. About when I became a purple belt, actually like a blue belt, late blue belt. Um, I wanted to make another change because I was noticing I was still kind of sort of doing a few of the same bad habits because I was working out, I'm doing this, but I wasn't optimizing my nutrition, which is something that I needed to do so I could just go over that hump and make a big change. So then I've been trying to optimize for a while. So then I went to do that. I said, let me make a change and just go complete plant-based. My wife's already plant-based at that point, but I decided to also try it. And that was huge for me in terms of my performance in the martial arts, because me personally, now I didn't have a heavy stomach, and I seen that as strength. So when I would go to class and I would go in the morning, I would just feel so light and so ready for the class. And it was like, wow, I'm like tweaking things in myself that are giving me just a little bit more edge to last just a little bit longer. And I found out that these micro changes were leading to these huge leaps for me in terms of my performance and what I was able to do, because now my engine was just completely different. And I was really feeding off of that energy, because now I'm getting this positive energy. I'm feeling strong. I'm feeling motivated. I'm loving wearing this gi, putting it on my belt. Even when I was a white belt, I loved it. I was like, as soon as I put my white belt on and my feet were on the mat, I was already in my head. I felt like I found this is my thing. I'm like, I found it. And I don't know when this is going to happen. They say it takes 10 to 15 years, but I'll get my black belt. And I really liked that feeling that I didn't even have to think about the black belt 10 to 15 years away. I just thought about, I'm in this martial art. I'm loving what I'm doing. I'm taking it one day at a time, and we'll see where this ends up going. What's going to happen. And I did, a lot of work to be able to achieve it in only 6 years, and actually achieve it during the global pandemic, which was another incredibly difficult, scary hurdle that was very personal choice that was scary for everybody around me, because I'm doing a martial art that is not something where you're not touching or sweating all over each other. And during that time, you couldn't even look at somebody that had a cough, because it was like, not not okay. You know, in 2020, it was, you know, it was a whole different feeling than it is right now in 2026. You know, it was crazy. And so, you know, imagine being in a martial art and doing this. That was a choice that was very difficult to make, to continue. Eventually, it got shut down because it was mandated to completely shut down, and I just continued on my own. I just continued on my own and did my own training regularly, daily, and I was making so much progress. I mean, I was on a trajectory I was just feeling so strong, and then that happened, and I knew, oh no, this is going to stop. My progress is about to potentially completely just stop. They'll arrest us. You know, they were like going into gyms and shutting everything down. You know, so that time was just really scary. So I had to take it to my own hands and did my own training at home by myself. I went through all the movements, just did that over and over every morning. Actually, was putting those on YouTube for a while. I was just doing my little routine in the morning. And so just kept pushing myself there. Eventually opened up again. I went back, and a lot of people weren't coming back. It was not the same gym because now people are like, yeah, I mean, they said it's over, but like there's so many germs, you know, all of this sweat, you're on a mat. People were like, so a lot of people were gone
Wow.
when we came back. Not me. I came back and I, you know, continued on, and I felt so strong. And then when people started coming back, I mean, I was just so far ahead of everybody because I just never stopped
Wow.
in my own personal practice. That when they came back, it was like I was just like almost like it felt like years past them. So that led to just a lot of big opportunities to perform and connect with people and show my skill and be tested by very high ranking people, and just really go through the grind, go through the grind of the whole thing, go through the grind of the pandemic, and then continue on. I remember when I got my brown belt, it was a drive through graduation, and they literally threw the belt through the window. So, you know, it was like no ceremony. It was a drive through. They're like, you got your brown belt. They just like threw it, and you just get out of here. It was like that bad. You could not, you know, be doing this. So, you know, after that, you know, it started getting normal again, and we just continued on, you would know, with the practice. And eventually I got that, you know, I was surprised, you know, because I wasn't expecting it. I was kind of hoping for the black belt maybe like 3 years later. I thought, you know, um, but one day when we were in line, they said we got some people getting their black belts at the next ceremony. They read a couple of names. They said René, because in Portuguese, the R's sound like an H. So if it's like Robert, it's Hubbard, you know. So René is René. So they say René. And I was like, wow. I mean, that moment, even before they gave it to me, was probably the biggest moment, um, like personally, for my achievement in my life. I would say at that point, when in that class they said he's getting a black belt. You know, at that moment, everything else kind of went silent. They were saying something else, and in my head, I'm like, wow, I'm getting the black belt. And it really does feel as incredible as you could imagine, because when you do get it for that moment, everything that you worked for, it's all about you in that moment and your achievement and honoring your effort. So for a brief moment, you get to feel just incredible, just really, really incredible. And you know, you accomplished what you set out to do, and this belt is representing that. It's just a way to honor your efforts. You know, it's just a belt, but it's symbolic symbol, or an international symbolic symbol of excellence. And so to get that, that's what it is. It's just showing that you put in the work, you dedicated yourself, you honored the academy. You conducted yourself in a proper way to help other people that are starting the martial art and continuing on their journey. So getting that honor was definitely something that was just life
Oh,
changing for me. Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, completely changed my life, and now I'm doing it on my own, and it's helped me to take that moment and expand it into different areas of my life that I'm working on now. And a big part of that is just being an ambassador for sleep health, and helping people understand that you can make a change. I've been there. Undoubtedly I had sleep apnea. I'm sure I didn't have a test at that time. I did when I was 300. I did have a test later though, just before I got my black belt, and my AHI came back within normal limits. I think it was like 0.9 AHI, no snoring. So when I seen that, I did a home sleep test. When I seen that, and another thing, I'm like, what I'm doing is it's worth it. It's working, and I'm not gonna go back to where I was in the past. I'm only gonna go forward. So now I'm just taking all of that energy and putting it towards things that I care about, the community where I live, connecting with people in a different way. Uh, Very much into yoga now. It's my next goal is to be a yoga instructor at some point, and help people stay flexible
mm,
so they can actually do something like martial arts. I wish I would have did it
mm.
before I did martial arts, but now I'm healing myself from so many years of physical damage due to such a
Yeah,
intense martial
yeah.
art.
For
But yeah, you can definitely make
for
changes.
those of those out there listening, you went through such an incredible journey, and there's a lot of them out there that probably haven't even started, or maybe they started and they gave up. Like, what made the difference for you? What,
Yeah.
on the hard days when you got beat up, you got choked out, you're not even a black belt yet, you never got that prize, and you're like, I don't even know when I'm gonna hit that next
Yeah.
thing, or you like, what got you to the next day? Sometimes a lot of them out there,
Yeah.
they're just trying to figure out how am I gonna get to the next day. It's you wake up and you're beat up, and you're like, oh man, I'm not there yet. I'm still 300 pounds. And I just started this thing.
Oh, yeah.
What gets people through?
Yeah. Well, for me personally, there was a few things, but I had a lot of support. That's one is I had so much support from my wife, who never once was like, "Don't go to class," or "Why are you doing this?" or "No, you don't need another gi." Um, so I had a lot of support to continue on. I would show up, especially from white to even to purple belt, with so many bruises on my body, head to toe. I mean, I looked like a cheetah. I was just peppered with bruises because I wasn't used to people on top of you, knee on belly. All this is just so physical, and I know
Yeah.
what that's about, doing it as well. So that honestly, for me, when I would see that, it motivated me so much, and I felt even more like a martial artist. So I was embodying the martial art. I was there because I wanted to someday be honored at the highest level, for someone who got there themselves, to say, you're in the club. I need you in this club. I need you to represent this academy because you've done everything that you could do to make it this far. And I honor you, and I want you to be in this club. So for me, I am a martial artist. I embodied that. I wanted to be that. And I really fell in love with that process, and someday having that honor. So that pumped me up. So when I would see bruises and I would have cuts and bleeding, I had my nose busted so bad it was blood everywhere. literally blood, sweat, tears, vomit. Um, I threw up one time, got humbled because you don't know how to move quite yet. You're just pushing against someone and your body is overheating. And I went against a black belt. It was a lot bigger than me. And I didn't know what to do other than use my force. That caused me to overheat completely. And I had to throw up. So I had to run off the mat. I did not throw up on the mat, but I had to run off the mat, threw up in a trash can as the little kids class is coming in. I'm sitting there, blah, and like little kids are coming in for their martial arts class. So I'm sure they're going to remember that. But, you know, even that, it was like, I'm in it. I'm doing it. I'm not just passively, yeah, I just threw up. Okay, that's fine. I kept coming back. I went up against that black belt later, did a lot better.
Wow.
A lot better. Still, the guy was still amazing, bigger, but it was a different scenario.
Yeah.
Now I had a confidence that was way different. Now I was in the process. I wasn't just on the outside looking in. I was a part of the process. And so one thing you could do is really be a part of the process. Don't see your efforts as just kind of passive. If you tap or, you get hurt or, think about it, relish in it. And, some people are martial artists, some people are not. I'm hoping that, if that's your vision, that you can do that.
I actually think
you'll notice that.
I actually think everybody's a martial artist. I think what it is it's maybe not a martial artist, but I think everybody is an artist in some way,
Yeah,
right? I think what it means to be an artist is to pursue something to excellence and to not be afraid of failure, because it's like that's what art is. You try, you create, and then you're like, well, that didn't look so good. But you relish in that, okay, if it like that now, and I have those bruises now, what would it like if I didn't have those bruises? And I got so good that I got one less bruise tomorrow.
Right.
And you're like, okay, hey, I'm getting better. I vomited, but when I came back, I felt better. And sometimes it's in that, what's beautiful about that journey is that you acknowledged when you failed. And you're like, this is a new starting point. This is a new rung on the ladder. And I get to grab onto this rung and pull myself up again. And after I overcome this, I'm not going to be throwing up again. I'm not going to overheat myself again. Next time, I want to figure out a different way. You trusted in yourself that you can overcome failure and that failure will teach you lessons. And you embrace that. And you just kept on going after it. I think it's most important. Like, you don't want to get to a place where you beat yourself up when you do vomit, when you go through the hard stuff. And it's amazing that you chose something that was in a community and you didn't choose, like a combat sport. You chose something that was in a community where they were nice and supportive, because it's real. And I love that community of jiu-jitsu. I love that kind of environment. It's probably one of the most nurturing environments. If you find the right club, you find the right jiu-jitsu place, and they have really great instructors and really great people there. I've been to a club like that, and it's incredible. Like, you really feel like, regardless of what you're going through, they're supporting you, and they recognize your improvements. Like you said, your support from your wife. It's not just your wife. You got to get the support from your coaches too, and your colleagues, right? And so, of course, nothing about your wife. Your wife is probably an incredible part of your journey, and your coaches were also. Your community was also. And so, I guess, you have to acknowledge yourself a lot of times, and you got to enjoy the grind sometimes. And I think we all are martial artists in some way. We just forget that we are. We were born martial artists. See, we were born dreaming. We're dreamers. We like when we were kids, we dreamed about stuff, and or we had daydreams about stuff. And we daydreamed about having, a boyfriend, or daydreamed about, having a wonderful life, or daydreamed about happiness. That itself, that dreaming is a skill. You were born with an incredible skill. God gave you martial artist from the very beginning. You were a martial artist. Some of you forgot that you are. Some of you forgot that you are capable of dreaming, capable of feeling acknowledgement, feeling greatness, feeling how wonderful it is to be great. Some of us forgot that.
Yeah, something that's really interesting, what you're saying, and it makes me think about actually something that I was talking about a lot this week in my yoga class, and it really applies to a lot, and it could apply to that, to just apply to our sleep. It could apply to so many things that we're doing, trying to do, and it was about in that discussion, it was about yoga, and it was about progress, and it was about having gratitude for your progress. And as you're going on whatever the journey is, like you said, maybe you're getting choked out, you're getting hurt, you're not losing the weight yet, but you've been in the process. And because you're not quite seeing the results that you hope for in the future now, all your progress in your head almost gets like wiped out. And it brings you in your mind to a state where you're not in a good place. You're doing good, you're actually taking action, but you're not having gratitude for those little micro steps that you're making, this progress. Right now, it's not adding up, but all those micro steps are eventually going to just grow into big, huge leaps. And noticing those moments, I think, is really important for so many things that we do. But giving yourself a pat on the back, but really noticing that I'm actually doing something. Tomorrow's another day. It takes being consistent. It takes embodying a new way of being. It's going to take a real effort to get there. But you should remember to be grateful for the progress that you've made, no matter how small it is, because in your heart and in your vision, you're still trying to get there. So yeah, that's one thing that will help a lot and help you get over that hump, is to find that gratitude for your own progress, because a lot of people around you are noticing that. And you're helping so many people just by starting your journey. And whatever it is that you're doing, if it's martial arts, if it's adjusting your sleep health, people around you are going to notice. If you stay consistent, though, that's when there's a big change, because now you've embodied a new way of being. You're not just sort of doing it. Now that's just who you are. And that's when you make those big changes. But having gratitude for your progress is really huge.
Yeah. You're right on. It's like you gotta love yourself for the progress. And one of the reasons why neurologically, gratitude is powerful. People don't really understand why should I be grateful. Like, there's two kinds of gratitude. There's gratitude where just like, thank my mom, thank my house, thank my clothes. It's like very shallow level gratitude. Like, yeah, it'll get you a little bit of motivation. You're like, okay, I'm a little bit better than a third world country. It's a little bit more. But then there's another kind of gratitude that is incredibly powerful. The kind of gratitude where you're grateful for the hard things you went through. Not just for the good things in your life, but the hard things you went through. Because It is the gratitude for the hard times where you actually get your brain to be intentionally looking for the pitfalls that you might fall into again and again. Because life isn't just about trying to move forward or seeing, oh yeah, I got some clothes, whatever, like try and be like, okay, I'm good. Like you said before, saying you're okay and you're okay and you're okay might not actually be okay. Saying that you're like, okay, I have food on my table and I'm eating a lot and I'm working out once in a while, that might not be enough to make the difference. What does make the difference though is noticing where you are failing, being grateful to yourself and acknowledging yourself for overcoming and even thinking about those hard things. Give your pat on the back for having those hard thoughts and actually being with them and grappling with them. Be like, that isn't who I want to be. Give yourself a tap on the back for actually trying to wrestle with that thought. Because when you wrestle with that thought and you're giving yourself a pat on the back, you will wrestle with more. And you will learn lessons. And you will be happy that you learned the lessons. You're grateful for the lesson, not just for the things in your life, but you're grateful for the lessons. And when you can be grateful for lessons, you enjoy the lessons. And that means that you can never fail, because every failure becomes a lesson. And when you love failure and you love the lesson, you will be invincible. You will be unstoppable. Because you can't fail. There's nothing that can stop you. And so gratitude in its finest form is not just gratitude, again, of the good things, but it's the gratitude of the things that you dare challenge. Because it reminds us of how far we've been, how strong we are. And it builds that confidence one brick at a time, one brick at a time. And then you keep track, you keep score of the things that you overcome, you will overcome more and more and more and more. But if you don't keep score of the things you overcome, you will keep making the same mistakes. Because you just simply didn't acknowledge that you overcame that mistake. You give yourself a pat on the back for it. Incredible conversation. Incredible, Renee. You are a outstanding just person. You are on the court grappling with life. You took it head on, man. You took it head on. That is incredible. Yeah, before you were even on the court, before you were on the mat, you were already grappling.
Absolutely. Yeah, definitely. One more thing is humility. That's another thing too, is once you get there, maybe you're going up the ranks or maybe you've achieved your goal. Another place where we can slip up, but there's a lesson there for sure, but humility, to be humble, and to help raise people up, that's some real strength, is when you can recognize that as well and find that humility in everything that you do. Gratitude, humility, those things will really help you navigate, everything a lot better, because you're like you're saying, you're recognizing things about yourself, and you're choosing what path should I go next based off of these things. Am I having gratitude? Am I being humble? Am I honoring my vision? Or am I getting onto a different path that, again, I'm not even noticing I'm on? I'm just walking down this path. So, yeah, to have that vision, you definitely have to be very clear in that vision and stick to what it is that you believe in. And then you'll level up as a person and have sustained changes, and other people around you, they'll see that light that shines.
Yeah. Well, you're speaking of these words. Humility is so important, so that we can recognize, okay, where am I now? Where can I continue to improve? And being like, okay, this is a journey. This is an adventure, and enjoying the adventure, enjoying the journey, right? Um, part if you find yourself, I love words. Tony Robbins, when I first began my personal development and started recognizing that I am a grappler, I do grapple with things, and recognize that I am a dreamer. Everybody was a dreamer. You just forgot it. You are a dreamer. And Tony Robbins, I read this book, Awaken the Giant Within, I think, Unleash the Giant Within, or something like that. It was an incredible book, because you are a giant inside of you. And one thing I took away from that book was, he said, hey, what are your values? What are the couple of words that are going to get you to the next stage? What resonates with you? What's that giant inside of you about? And for me, back then, about 8-9 years ago, for me, when I first did this exercise, the 3 words for me were boldness, love, and gratitude. Those were the 3 words that I really wanted, that I had inside of me. Like, oh yeah, like that's it. The boldness part was what allowed me to be like, okay, I'm going to challenge this next thing. That love was me giving myself that love, giving myself a pat on the back, be like, all right, I'm going to do this. I'm going to try this out, and I'm going to acknowledge myself for the failure. And then that gratitude is in connecting with the people around me and finding that support system to be able to get through the days when it's hard. Some days you don't want to get up. Some days you don't feel no love for yourself. Those are the days when you got to have those people around you. And the gratitude is giving those people love, making sure we give it to them, so that when you have that hard day, they're there to give you it back. Those 3 things really, really, that felt good for me. And I don't know what it is you need in your life, but find those 3 words that resonate with you. Look it up online. Look up the values list. It'll give you a list of all the things that could be valuable to you. And you pick 3, whatever stage of season you are, and those 3 words can change over time. You pick a couple words that resonate with you that will get you to the next level. You pick those words and you're like, oh, okay, what do those words mean to me? How can I be more of those things? And how can that get me to the next level? I love that for you is that humility, that gratitude. And I get you got a little bit of boldness and the courage in there too, to take that next step into fear. So it's similar for all of us. Well, how do we get to the next stage? And oftentimes it's a combination of a couple powerful words. They become pillars to your way of being. You just hold on to those words and go on for the ride. You're like, oh man, today is hard. I gotta be bold today. Oh man, I'm feeling down. I gotta give myself some love. Oh wait, I'm feeling lonely. I gotta get some gratitude out. Say thank you for a couple people. You do that over day after day after day. You build up your gratitude. You build up your boldness, your courage. You build up your love for yourself. And soon that bucket full. You look in the bucket, you're like, oh, I got a lot of love. I got a lot of courage. I got a lot of people around me. But that didn't happen overnight. So it's a good day to be alive. It's a good day to sleep in and get that energy. If your sleep isn't that great, we're here to support you, because that is the foundation of it all. If you can sleep well, you can wake up well. That means that you can take care of yourself, take care of the people around you. You can live an incredible life. All right, that's it for today. Had a really great talk. These talks are juicy. Next week, we are excited to have Tom Voss. I've known him for many years now. He's a part of my community. He's a part of people who support me in my growth. He's a martial artist, dedicated martial artist. He learned from one of the best. And we're excited to have him here because he also works. He's a martial artist that works in healthcare. He teaches at UCLA martial arts. And what he does is he has a program. He teaches people to resolve their Parkinson's, people who have shaking hands, who can't walk. really bad Parkinson's from a whole lifetime of this nervous disorders, just stress that shoots up all this cortisol, breaks your nervous system. And he's able to use breath work and just, I don't know what he's going to bring, but he's going to bring in some amazing practices for us. He's able to use breath work to resolve Parkinson's. These people are able to start moving their hands, holding things again when they couldn't hold a water bottle. They couldn't hold an orange in their hand. You can't pick up anything with your hands. You can't even use a spoon. You know, they can't even walk, some of these people. And he's able to get them to calm down and be able to be still again. Imagine you're just shaking all the time with anxiety all the time. He's able to calm that down just with breath work. And so it's incredible how the body, you can change the body, you can change your essence, and you can really, really experience something different very quickly too. And so if you're having a hard time out there, maybe just how can we shift our state in that moment? Change our state, change our mind, change our mind, change our state. And it becomes this wonderful cycle where you're going to be able to get forward. All right. With that said, we're all wonderful to be here. We're going to be here again next Saturday at 10 a.m. We're bringing amazing guests, and stay tuned. See you all out there. Wake well, y'all.